Have you ever noticed that there are days when you don't do anything terribly wrong, nothing big or dramatic happens, and yet inside you still feel tired, still feel heavy, still feel restless, almost as if an invisible string is pulling your mind, pulling it back into the past, pulling it forward into the future, pulling it through other people's words, pulling it through the small mistakes you keep repeating, pulling it through fears you can't even name. And then by the end of the day, you feel drained, as if you lived so much and yet you were never truly present in your own life. If you're like that, I want you to pause for a moment, not to force yourself to become calm immediately, not to pressure yourself to stay positive, and certainly not to deny that you're tired, but simply to do one gentle, honest thing. To admit, I'm tense. And the moment you admit that, you have already begun to step out of unconsciousness, because unconsciousness is when you're being pulled without even realizing it, while mindfulness is when you're being pulled, but you catch yourself in time. In the Buddha's teachings, there are long paths, deep layers of practice, and profound stages of cultivation. But there is also a doorway that is very near, so near you can touch it right now. That doorway is the breath, because the breath is something you always carry with you, no matter where you are, whether you are rich or poor, strong or weak, happy or sad. The breath still comes in, the breath still goes out, quietly sustaining life. And precisely because it is always here, it can become an anchor that brings you home. I know that when people hear mindful breathing, many will think, come on, everyone breathes. I need to solve big problems. What can breathing do? And I understand that reaction, because when the mind is tangled, we often look for something big to save us, a strong solution to pull us out of discomfort. But sometimes the thing that changes your life is not the biggest thing, it's the right thing. And mindful breathing is not just breathing for the sake of it. It is the way you learn your own power again, the power of being present, the power of pausing before reacting, the power of returning before you make yourself suffer more. You can think of this video as a kind of bath for your mind. Not a bath made of fancy words, but a bath made of simplicity, slowness, and real practice. Because mindfulness does not need decoration. Mindfulness needs truth. And the truth here is simple. You are breathing, and you know you are breathing. That is enough to begin. Before we go into the practice, I want to say one thing clearly so you can relax. Meditation is not about making your mind empty. Meditation is not a competition to see who can be calmer. Meditation is not a permanent state of no thoughts, because the human mind is built to think. The problem is not that you have thoughts. The problem is that you get carried away by thoughts like a leaf swept downstream, and you think that is you. You think those voices in your head are your identity, when in fact, you are not those voices. You are the one who is hearing those voices. I also want you to understand this. If during practice you feel restless, uncomfortable, or unsettled, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It may simply mean you are beginning to see what you used to avoid. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You start to notice the dust. The dust was already there. It didn't appear because you turned on the light. Mindfulness is turning on the light. Now I invite you to choose a posture that allows your body to support your mind. Because when the body is tense, the mind struggles to settle. And when the body feels supported, the mind can let go more easily. You can sit on a chair with both feet on the floor, feeling the soles of your feet touching the ground, feeling the earth holding you. You can sit on a cushion, keeping your spine just upright enough, without arching, without forcing, like bamboo, flexible yet unbroken. Or if you are lying down, lie in a way that doesn't pull you into sleep. If your eyelids grow heavy, you can open your eyes slightly, resting your gaze on a point in front of you. Looking, but not really looking. simply to stay awake. Allow your shoulders to drop, as if you've just taken off a backpack you've carried for too long. And if you notice that you're clenching your jaw, grinding your teeth, or holding some hidden tension, simply breathe out and allow your jaw to soften a little. Then let your hands rest, lightly, naturally, no special gesture needed, no shape to create. Just place them in a way that feels safe, because you are learning something very important. You are learning how to treat yourself with gentleness. Right now, I'm not asking you to change your breathing. You don't need to breathe deeply. You don't need to breathe longer. You only need to sense that the breath is here. And you may feel it as something very small, very thin, like a thread. But don't underestimate that thread, because that thread can pull you out of the maze. All you need to do is find one place to rest your attention. Some people feel the breath most clearly at the nostrils. Some feel it in the chest. Some feel it in the belly. And once you choose your place, you do just one thing. You know the in-breath is happening, and you know the out-breath is happening. And if you want, you can label very softly in your mind, in, out, like a small reminder so the mind doesn't drift. We will begin very slowly, and if your mind runs away, you simply return, without blaming yourself, without judging yourself, because every time you return, you grow stronger, in the most beautiful sense. Stronger, because you are no longer being dragged completely. Pause 3 seconds. All right then, now you and I begin together with just one fully present breath. Now place your attention on the sensation of the breath at the point you've chosen. And I invite you to observe like a kind friend, observing without interfering, like sitting by a stream and watching the water flow. You don't try to force the stream to flow your way. You simply watch and know it is flowing. And strangely enough, that simple watching and knowing already helps your mind get pulled less. You breathe in and you know you are breathing in. You breathe out and you know you are breathing out. And if you want to make it even simpler, you can quietly label in, out, in, out. But label with softness, like a whisper inside. Because if you tighten your voice in your head, you create more tension, while softness invites peace to come closer. You may notice that within a single in-breath, your mind runs away several times, and within a single out-breath, it runs away several times too. And that is completely normal, because the human mind is like an energetic child. It's used to running, used to jumping, used to seeking stimulation. If you scold it, it becomes afraid. If you try to tie it down, it struggles. But if you gently extend your hand and call it back with kindness, it slowly begins to trust you. So the most important principle in this practice is not don't think, but rather when you realize you are thinking, return. And remember this well. The moment you realize, I'm thinking, that moment is mindfulness. That moment is not a mistake. That moment is light. And after the light, there is only one step. Return to the breath. You can see each time the mind wanders as one more chance to train your ability to come back. It's like training a muscle. No one trains a muscle without shaking. No one trains a muscle without fatigue. And likewise, no one trains the mind with perfect stillness from the start. So if you notice the mind wandering, don't lose heart, because wandering simply means you have practice material. And how do you practice? By returning without hurting yourself. Pause 2 seconds. Now I invite you to try a slightly deeper way of observing, feeling the full process of one breath. This means that when you breathe in, you know the in-breath begins, you know it is moving, and you know it ends. Then there is a tiny space before the out-breath. You know that space too. And when you breathe out, you know the out-breath begins, you know it is moving, and you know it ends. And slowly, you begin to see that amidst all the chaos of life, the breath has rhythm, the breath has order, the breath always offers a path home. If it feels difficult to follow the whole process like that, simply return to the basic way. No in, no out, and keep your mind soft, because softness is the key. Softness means you are not forcing, not straining, not clenching, not acting as if I must do this correctly, because mindfulness is not about being correct. Mindfulness is about being real, and real means, however the breath is, you know it as it is. Sometimes the breath is long. You know it is long. Sometimes the breath is short. You know it is short. Sometimes the breath breaks because you are breathing fast. You know it is fast. And the moment you know, you have already begun to separate from being swept away, because before you breathed fast without knowing, you were tense without knowing, you reacted without knowing. Now you are learning to know. And knowing is freedom. Pause 3 seconds. I want you to ask a very gentle question. Right now, is there any place in my body that is holding tension? You don't need to answer with words, you just feel. Maybe in the shoulders, maybe in the neck, maybe in the forehead, maybe in the chest, maybe in the belly. And when you find the tension, you don't need to fix it. You simply breathe out and allow that place to soften just a little. Only a little. Because a little is enough for the body to understand, I'm not being forced. You breathe in as if you are welcoming life in. You breathe out as if you are setting down a burden. And you can silently repeat a very simple phrase. Breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out, I allow myself to be lighter. Let a few breaths pass like this. Pause 5 seconds. And if, as you listen, you feel even a small bit softer inside, even a small bit calmer, know that it isn't a miracle from outside. It is your own natural capacity. You are touching your ability to soothe yourself. And this is exactly what can change your life, because someone who can soothe themselves is not easily thrown down by the world. Not because the world has fewer waves, but because that person learns how to breathe inside the waves. Let me share a simple image, one that feels more and more true the longer you live. Imagine your mind as a cup of water with mud at the bottom, and daily life as a spoon that keeps stirring. Stirring with work, with the phone, with words, with comparisons, with news, with responsibilities, with expectations. When it is stirred like that, the water stays cloudy, and when you look into the cup, you think, I am naturally cloudy. You believe your nature is messy, heavy, dark, unstable. But that's not true. The nature of the water is not cloudy. It's just that you've been stirring for too long. And the strange thing is, you don't need anything complicated to make the water clear again. You don't need a filter. You don't need to fight the mud. You simply need to stop stirring. And when you stop stirring, the mud settles. Maybe not immediately, but surely. And when it settles, the water becomes clear again. And then you realize, I also have clarity. Your mind also has the capacity to be bright, to be calm, to be light. You simply have not given it the chance. Mindful breathing is how you stop stirring, not by force, but by returning. Returning without hardness. Returning without beating yourself up. Returning with a small inner smile, like you notice you've gotten lost and you say, lost again, and you come back without making it dramatic, because getting lost is normal. Returning is what matters. In the Buddha's teachings, there is another image that helps us understand suffering in a very practical way. The second arrow. In life, there are pains you cannot avoid. The first arrow. For example, you get sick, you lose someone you love, you are misunderstood, you fail, you face a crisis. The first arrow may come even if you live kindly. But what often hurts you the most is not the first arrow. It's the second arrow that you shoot into yourself. The second arrow is your unconscious reaction. Panic, resistance, self-blame, imagining worse outcomes, replaying the story in your head 100 times. Think about it. How many times has someone's comment hurt you a little, but then you carried it home, fed it, turned it over again and again, attached extra meaning to it, built more scenes around it until you were hurting 10 times more? And then you believed that person hurt you 10 times more, when in truth you had fired the second arrow into yourself without realizing it, because you were caught in unconsciousness. Mindful breathing doesn't erase the first arrow, but it can help you stop the second one. Because when you breathe and know you are breathing, you create a space. And in that space, you have a choice. You can choose to respond instead of react. You can choose silence instead of words that harm. You can choose to drink water instead of sending an angry message. You can choose one more breath instead of letting fear drag you away. Pause 2 seconds. Now I want you to practice this directly in your body, because understanding with the mind is one thing, but feeling it in the body is where life changes. I invite you to remember a recent situation that made you tense. It doesn't have to be heavy, just something that slightly tightened your heart. And as you remember, you may feel your body react. Maybe the chest tightens, the neck stiffens, the belly curls. And right then, you don't need to solve anything. You only need to breathe. Breathing in, you know, the body is tense. Breathing out, you know, I am safe in this moment. Breathing in, you silently say, I see it. Breathing out, you silently say, I don't need another arrow. Pause 5 seconds. And you may begin to feel something surprising. When you allow the body to feel and you breathe with it, the tension becomes less frightening. It's still there, but it is no longer a monster. It becomes a signal. And you become someone who can read signals, and someone who can read signals does not panic, because they understand that emotions come and go, tension arises and fades, only awareness remains. Now I will guide you through a very gentle, calming breath, and I want to remind you again, the goal is not to hit the numbers perfectly. The numbers are simply a handrail so your mind drifts less. If you feel any discomfort, return to natural breathing, because mindfulness always respects the body. We will breathe in for 4 counts and breathe out for 6 counts. Let the breath be like a wave. The in-breath is the wave coming in. The out-breath is the wave receding. And as the wave recedes, you feel yourself setting down a little tension, setting down a little rushing, setting down a little clenching. I will count. You simply follow with softness. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the out-breath, imagine you are breathing out through the shoulders, breathing out through the forehead, breathing out through the chest, like opening a door for heaviness to leave. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause 2 seconds. If you lose count, it's okay. Simply return to making the out-breath a little longer, because what matters is the feeling of release, not the perfection of numbers. After a few rounds, return to your natural breath and just notice how the body feels. Maybe softer, maybe warmer, maybe quieter, or maybe still tense. Whatever it is, you don't need to judge it, because judgment is another form of tension, while awareness is the open path. Now I invite you to add a very simple, very human, yet very deep breathing phrase. Breathing in, I return. Breathing out, I rest. As you breathe in, you silently say, Breathing in, I return. Returning to the body, returning to the heartbeat, returning to the breath, returning to the moment you are truly living. As you breathe out, you silently say, breathing out, I rest. Resting means allowing yourself to be here in the present, without running, without proving, without resisting, simply resting like a tree, standing steady in the wind. Breathing in, I return. Breathing out, I rest. And you may feel returning like stepping through the doorway of your home after a long day, while resting feels like placing your keys down, sitting, breathing out and knowing, I'm here now. Pause 3 seconds. Breathing in, I return. Breathing out, I rest. If sadness is present, you can still say, breathing in, I return, meaning you return to meet the sadness, not to run away from it. And as you breathe out, you say, I rest, meaning even with sadness, you are here. You do not abandon yourself. If anger is present, you can still breathe this way, because the breath does not take sides with anger or against anger. The breath takes the side of awareness. And when you are aware, anger no longer drives the car. Pause 5 seconds. Let a few breaths pass like this, and you may begin to feel something very real. Peace is not a state where everything is good. Peace is the ability to stay with everything without being thrown down by it. And the breath is the skill of staying. Now I want to bring this breathing practice from the meditation cushion into daily life. Because if meditation only makes you feel better while sitting, but outside you still react the same way, then meditation is only rest, not transformation. And what you are looking for, I believe, is real change. Changing the way you live, the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you touch your difficulties, the way you walk through storms. And real change often begins with something small. One breath before you do something. I will give you 3 moments. If you remember these 3 moments, you will begin to feel life pulling you less. The first moment is before you speak, especially when you are about to speak while feeling irritated. When you are irritated, words easily become knives. And there are words that once spoken, even apologies cannot fully take back. So train a new habit. Before speaking, take 1 breath, just 1 breath, but a breath with awareness. And inside that breath, ask quietly, will my words heal or will my words harm? And sometimes, just asking that question changes the words you choose. The second moment is when you touch your phone, because the phone is where the mind is most easily pulled. Try a small ritual. Before unlocking the screen, take 1 breath, then ask, what am I looking for? Information or escape? Connection or numbness? When you take 1 breath before scrolling, you begin to regain choice, and choice is freedom. The third moment is when you receive a message or notification that makes your heart jump. Instead of replying immediately, instead of reacting immediately, put the phone down, take 1 breath. Feel where the body is heating up, feel how fast the heart is beating, and silently say, I can respond, not react. Because reacting is often fear driving, while responding is awareness leading. Pause 2 seconds. Now I invite you to practice in imagination, because the brain learns quickly through imagination, and when you rehearse enough times, real life becomes easier. Imagine someone says something that touches your pride, or someone doesn't reply to you, or someone ignores you. In that moment, you feel heat rising. You want to speak right away. You want to prove yourself right away. You want to fight back right away. Right then, you breathe. Breathing in, you know, I am heated. Breathing out, you know, I don't need to do anything fast. Breathing in, you remind yourself, I have a choice. Breathing out, you remind yourself, I choose peace first. Pause 5 seconds. Look back at your life. So many regrets come from moving too fast, speaking too fast, deciding too fast, texting too fast. If you gain the skill of slowing down by just one beat, your life will change direction at many points. And mindful breathing is the gentlest break. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you deep. And when you breathe this way, you are not only reducing stress, you are planting a new seed, the seed of awareness, the seed of kindness, the seed of knowing when to pause. And that seed will grow into the fruit of a life with less suffering, not because life has no waves, but because you know how to stand inside the waves. There is something very important I want you to hear deeply, like a reminder, so you don't stay trapped in the stories in your head. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are just phenomena, coming and going, like clouds crossing the sky. There are white clouds, dark clouds, thick clouds, thin clouds, days when clouds cover everything. But no matter how the clouds are, the sky is still there. The problem is that you often forget the sky. You believe you are the cloud. You believe, I am my anxiety, I am my anger, I am my unease. And when you believe that, you live trapped in the cloud. You breathe trapped in the cloud. You love trapped in the cloud. You work trapped in the cloud. And you start to believe there is no way out. But mindful breathing is how you remember the sky, because every time you return to the breath, you stand in the position of the observer, the one who knows. And the one who knows is not swallowed completely by the clouds. Notice something very simple. When you worry, you breathe shallow. When you fear, you hold your breath. When you are angry, you breathe fast. And when you breathe like that, the body sends a signal back to the mind. Danger. So the mind worries more, fears more, becomes angrier, and the loop continues, a loop between mind and body. Mindfulness breaks that loop in a very gentle way. You simply know you are breathing. Then you lengthen the exhale a little, and immediately the body receives a different signal. I can release. When the body releases, the mind has space. When the mind has space, you see things more clearly. Pause 2 seconds. I want you to try a very simple practice to remember the sky. Each time you notice your mind playing a movie, each time you see yourself repeating an old story, silently say, cloud. Then breathe out as if you're watching the cloud drift. Then silently say, sky. And breathe in as if you're standing in the wide, open sky. Cloud, exhale. Sky, inhale. You don't need to do it for long, just a few breaths. A few breaths are enough to change your position, from being dragged away to seeing clearly. Pause 5 seconds. And when you practice like this, you slowly develop a quiet confidence. Confidence that even if the mind is stormy today, you still have a way home. Because the way home is right beneath your nose, in the breath. And no one can take your breath away from you, unless you forget it. Now, before we end, I invite you to return completely to the breath as a way of gathering yourself back together, because all day you have been scattered in too many places, scattered into work, scattered into screens, scattered into expectations, scattered into other people's emotions, and sometimes you forget that you also need to be held. And the first person who can hold you is you. Simply breathe. And you can use again the phrase, breathing in, I return, breathing out, I rest. But this time, I invite you to say it as if you're speaking to a dear friend who is tired, speaking with kindness, not with force. Breathing in, I return. Breathing out, I rest. Pause 3 seconds. Breathing in, I return. Breathing out, I rest. If you want, place one hand on your chest and feel the heartbeat. You don't need to slow it down. You only need to know it is there, as proof that you are alive, still trying, still moving through many things, and you deserve to breathe more gently. Now I invite you to exhale a little longer, as if you are setting down a burden you have carried for too long. You don't need to remember every heavy thing. You only need to know, I can put down a little. Inhale. Long exhale. Pause 5 seconds. And in the spirit of the Buddha's teachings, I offer you a blessing, not a blessing to ask someone else to give you peace, but a blessing to remind the strength within you. May you be peaceful, even when the world is loud. May you be safe, even on the days you feel fragile. May you have enough mindfulness to notice when you are about to add more suffering. And may you have enough gentleness to return through one breath. You don't have to heal everything in one day. You only have to not abandon yourself today. And how do you not abandon yourself? By returning to the breath, even once. Pause 3 seconds. Before you leave this video, I invite you to do something small but honest. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? You don't need a long answer in your head. Just one word. Maybe lighter, maybe better, maybe okay, maybe still tired. All of it is allowed, because honesty is the ground of transformation. And if you want, you can leave a comment with just that one word, so I know where you are on this path. And so you can also feel that you are not alone, because many people out there are learning to breathe so they can live more lightly. If this practice was helpful, you can subscribe to the channel so I can continue making videos on Buddhist teachings, meditation, and practical ways to bring mindfulness into daily life, not to escape life, but to live more deeply, more kindly, and with less suffering. Before we truly end, you and I will take one final breath together, closing this practice with a full stop, a gentle completion. Inhale, exhale. Pause 3 seconds. And remember one very simple thing, so simple you can carry it everywhere. When you don't know what to do, when you feel tangled, when you feel afraid, when you feel irritated, when you feel sad, when you feel yourself about to react. You don't need to find the answer right away. You only need to return to the breath, because the breath is the shortest path home. And when you come home to yourself, you will see everything more clearly, more softly, and more wisely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for breathing with me. And may every day of your life, no matter how many waves come, you remember that you have an anchor. And that anchor is mindful breathing.